Hello everyone, welcome to February 2nd CSGO slate look ahead. Today it is not a good slate, if I'm honest. This would most likely be one where I just skip it, to be honest. I might end up playing just out of boredom, but if you're looking for profit and you're looking to kind of build stuff up sustainably, I would recommend just skipping a slate like this. I'm not a big proponent of ones where A, it's a two gamer, B, low end teams. Those seems like a recipe for disaster, if I'm honest. I guess what we could do is we could look at yesterday. The thing with like looking back at slates from yesterday, and CSGO at least, is it kind of doesn't tell you a lot. There's a lot of CSGO teams. Like there's no pretty much other way to dice it. There's so many teams, so many players, a lot to look at. This only shows like the top 30, but there's like hundreds of CSGO teams to keep in mind, as opposed to when you're breaking down things like the LPL and LCK, there's like 27 teams in between those two regions. So, things we remember from one slate carries over to another. So when we look at a team like Fnatic and Apex, we might not even see these teams for weeks, and by then they're going to have a whole new match history, a whole new form, standard, and that kind of thing. So it's something to keep in mind. But I will recap the slate anyway, just so we can, talk about it a little, see if there's anything to pick up. The first game was pretty weird. Like the Fnatic, I've never seen, like this iteration of Fnatic at least, I've never seen look this out of place, kind of. They seem pretty confused on a lot of things. I'm not sure how over a break, they come into the game looking worse than when they left. I understand some rustiness, but it seemed like they were just kind of generally unprepared and out of the loop. I'm not sure what happened, like how this happens, frankly. But they just looked really bad. Maybe that's something to do with like rust, maybe not playing a while. But then again, like I feel like when you have like rust, it affects like players individually more, like missing shots, having bad timings, that kind of thing. But when you look at something like team play and coordination, those things feel like shouldn't really be missing, if that makes sense. Like, you knowing how to play the game isn't something that like where you should be rusty with, and that it seemed like that was the problem here with the Fnatic team. Apex looked good. They looked like a decent team. They do have some decent names, but again, we shouldn't really be seeing Apex too often for the DFS slates, at least. So when we do cross them next, it'll be like a whole new ball game essentially. We probably will be seeing some Fnatic. They are a high-level team, and we'll be seeing them more often, for sure. But kind of first series back from the break, they looked not good. We'll probably give them some time, but not what I saw from Fnatic. Again, I was pretty heavily on Fnatic to get the 2-0. They got 2-0'd. Again, this kind of shows how form and how day-to-day things carry over, and I think pretty much all that we can learn is teams that are playing well, they're going to continue to play well until they don't, and things like form and how you're feeling are going to matter a lot in CSGO compared to League of Legends. So Apex get the upset. And this was one that I ended up being on. I did like the Wisla Krakow side. Can't remember my official pick, but I don't think I tweeted it either. So maybe I'll have to take the L for the pick. I think I ended up saying Furia 2-1. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and see what my official pick was, but I know that I was super hesitant on Furia coming back from the break, and Wisla Krakow. They were playing good. They looked pretty good, and it kind of, again, same thing. It was the team that was already in the swing of things, as opposed to the team that's coming off the break and playing in their first competitive match in months. And it kind of showed. I mean, again, team just looked out of sorts. I mean, we know Furia is not exactly a highly tactical team in the first place. They're definitely a team where they're going to rely pretty heavily on player individual talent, and they do have that. They did not display it much at all. Um, kind of, again, not a lot to look at, other than form matters a lot more than we kind of probably thought. Safi looked really bad. We knew it was probably going to take some time, coming from stomping all over low-level American players to real quality European teams. We knew there's going to be some time to adjust. I didn't expect them to look this bad, but again, the whole team looked bad coming off the break, all that kind of stuff. So we got the upset here. I did end up playing Wisla Krakow in my single entry DraftKings lineup alongside Fnatic. Luckily enough, people played Furia, and luckily like 70% of people played Safi for some reason. I will touch. I wanted to touch on this. I wasn't sure if I was going to, but I will. You guys need to make sure that you have context to statistics. So when I looked at Safi yesterday, I specifically remember saying his statistics are insane, but that was because he was playing against much lower level of competition. I mean, he was playing against probably just like college players in America who are just playing because they're good at the game and want to do something on weekend nights or something. Like, I mean, they're quality players. I'm not trying to, throw too much shade at some of the low level players that he played against, but I mean, he was going against some low level competition, like some people who don't even play CS as a full time job. Like, that's like borderline like amateurs, he's going against some low level players here, and then he steps up against Wisla Krakow, a decent top end, not top, but near like top of the tier 2 scene at least, in Wisla Krakow. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind, to have context to your statistics. Safi's kill death ratio and all that looked amazing, but it's easy to look amazing against much lower level players. So remember to keep that in mind going forward, guys, that don't just trust the optimizer or whatever status or service you're using, because those things don't tell the whole story all the time. They are helpful. I'm not doubting the statistics and the facts that come from something that spits out data like that. However, if 70% of people ended up on that highest priced Furia player in Safi, something had to have gone wrong there. I think this is going to sound rude and sound like a hot take, but I think this is where the edge still lies pretty heavily in esports DFS. There's a large number of people who still only just kind of play by the optimizer and play by like regular rules. They don't know pretty much anything about esports. They don't even know like the games really. Like, they don't know the players. I understand that maybe some people who are watching this video are in that category as well, but again, like, I don't understand how people ended up playing Safi. And the same could be said for Brawlan. Brawlan was super heavily owned as well, and he was simply really overpriced. Obviously, his team ended up losing. Like, it kind of didn't matter in the end, but like, people are way too trusting of the DK algorithm. We might find some things like that today. I'll try to point it out, but if you guys remember back to yesterday when I said I don't understand why people didn't play xFloud for Eternal Fire. xFloud was their third best player, and he was priced all the way down, like one of the lowest on the slate. So why wouldn't he be super heavily owned? He's an extreme value. He has good statistics. He's priced as the 5th best player on the team, and he was like 7% owned. So maybe we don't need to get too cute here anymore. I'm not sure what's going on really, but people just seem to be making pretty bad plays, I think, overall. So I think that's something to remember, at least for the near future, that we don't need to get too crazy here. We can kind of play things pretty straight up and probably end up profiting, at least from my perspective. And I want to reiterate, I'm just a single entry guy. I make one lineup a night, usually for the slate. Sometimes I'll make multiple lineups if there's multiple spots I like a lot and I just want to get exposure. But that's pretty rare. I would say maybe like once or twice a week that happens. So again, we don't need to get too cute here. That's something I think we can take away from this slate. Teams coming off of breaks, something definitely to look at, versus teams who have been playing or in the swing of things. That's also something to remember. So, although the slate was pretty bad, it was 2 pretty big underdogs. It was a weird slate. Like, I ended up profiting on the night, despite playing 4 losing players. I believe I had Smuya, Brolan, Mezzi, and then on this series I had Goofy, Jedker, and Keserato. Snatchy, Jedker, and Keserato. And it's a pretty bad lineup, all things considered, but I ended up profiting with it somehow because enough people played the Furia players. So I felt like all the red flags lied with Safi, and he was like super highly owned. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. So something that maybe we can keep in mind here is that we don't need to get too cute. People are going to trust the optimizer and the Vegas odds and that kind of stuff way too heavily, it looks like. I think there's just a big gap between people who know esports and know Counter-Strike and know the players versus the people who know DFS. If you guys can understand what I'm trying to say there. Yeah, I think that kind of summarizes what I was trying to say. So looking ahead to tomorrow, we have the ELISA Invitational Winter. Again, not a great slate, but not terrible. So the first series we have Entropic against Finest. This is a pretty weird one. Like, I actually like a lot of these Finest players, but it's just such a god-awful mishmash of players. Like Golden, who used to be on Fnatic, Lollipop on Amiga. I don't even remember where Anarchez used to play, but he's like a insane player, but he's never been in the higher end scene really. Yeah, he was with Secret and Hellraisers, and then he's been hopping around, kind of the last year. But he was like insane for those 2 teams. Like, these are good individual players, but how does it construct, really? I don't know. It's such a weird mismatch of like countries and players and styles. I mean, and it shows, like, Entropic is a top 10 rated HLTV team. It seems a little high, but, they're still a solid team, and it shows in the odds. Entropic minus 350. I think that's fair, but again, I don't necessarily think that Finest are kind of dead here. We can look at their stats and see if that gives us a little bit more of an indication. So it looks like Finest don't even have like a solidified 5th at the moment. That's pretty terrifying. Let's see who they've been playing with the last month. So they had Nato Safix, Golden, Lollipop. So they've had Mar. Like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't even know who's going to be on here for. So they have Shocks, Anarchez, Mar, Kriaz, Lollipop, Golden. So I guess they have all the options here. No Nato Safix. Let's see who they played with earlier in the same tournament. It was Anarchez, Kriaz, Mar, Nato, and Shocks. They ended up getting the 2-0 over 777. I don't know. This is just a really weird situation. That was on the 17th. Let's see what they've been playing with recently. Lollipop, Shocks, Kriaz, Anarchez, Golden, Shocks, Kriaz, Anarchas, Natto, and Lollipop. So yeah, I don't know what they're doing here. That's weird. That they're just like different players day to day. I don't understand really. Um, so yeah, I mean there's just way too many question marks there. They're going against an actual good team in Entropic, so kind of just I think we're kind of forced in going into this Entropic side. Not exactly hot take really or anything. We set up all of our same filters that I talked about yesterday. Look at who they've played. They played Namiga. They beat Big. Had a game with Gambit. They beat Astralis. So they're beating real teams. Took a map off of Gambit. Yeah, they're looking good. Heading over to their team page. Not ideal. See how that compares to their pricing. So we have Leon Forrester, Nickelback, Lackey, Crad. Leon Forrester, Crad, Nickelback, Lackey. So it looks like maybe Nickelback and Lackey are underpriced here, but Leon and Forrester are the top dogs. So we'll get into construction maybe when we get some more information from our second series. Man, that is an odd construction of teams here. They both just have a random Bulgarian player. So that's a little funny, but we can see how they're playing based off of just name value looking at here. Sterling is an incredible Oceanic Opera. I believe this is just New Zealand flag. Yeah. And but again, this is a little similar to the Safi situation where he's played against much lower competition. He kind of is just the top dog in all of New Zealand, or that whole OCE region as a whole. So it's a little tough. You come over to the Europe side and see how things are going. People know Ego, especially specifically Furlan and Fiku. These are probably names that a lot of people recognize, and they have actually played like pretty well, during those times that they were popping. So we can look and see how they're playing, and then try to get a better grasp of what's going on here. So last month, looks like APOC isn't even playing. It's been Esperanto. Oh, it looks like they have Spellin now. I wonder what's... Let's see if they have like some news or something. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what is happening with this roster. I mean, it looks like they had like Esperanto filling, and maybe they're going to try out Spellan now. I don't know. That's a little weird. Let's see what's going on with Ego. Looks like they've been losing, and they've also had a stand-in. Looks like they've only Lemon and Fiku are playing. Man, this is an absolute disgusting slate. You have one real team and then 3 teams who are just like mishmashing players and stuff. These lineups are usually correct, but they're not always 100%. Typically what I would do is I would try to search like player social medias and team social medias. I would even personally, I've reached out and I've messaged and DM'd players and managers and teams and coaches and stuff, trying to see who's playing. Sometimes you'll get a response. So, if you guys are invested and want to try that, I don't think I will. Frankly, as I've looked through this slate, I'm not seeing like anything I like. I mean, we've got 2 teams that are playing with like stand-ins and stuff. I'm not liking this at all. I mean, Esperanto has been their best player, and he's apparently being benched for Spellan, or he can't play today or something. And then we head over to the Ego side. I mean, they've had like Kransel, Gashog. They've not played. We got a stand-in who's played 7 maps. Furlan. This is just kind of gross. Let's see, who does it look like they have playing? Furlan, Leman, Fiku, Krasnow. So it looks like it's just this roster. I wonder how many they are yet to play together. Okay. I mean, that kind of sums it up, really. Try to see. Looks like their best player also not playing. Yeah, this is gross. I guess the more information does lie with LFG here, or LFO looking for org. They beat Halvu. This isn't a terrible one. They've lost to Tricked, Eternal Fire, Wisla Krakow, Unique. So they've lost to like decent-ish teams. Let's see who Ego have played. Fnatic Rising. They lost it. They got stomped by Wisla Krakow. Let's see. So yeah, this is not that good of a series. I mean, they had players swapping between maps here. I wonder if Furlan like is still like on a job or something. I don't know. This is a pretty gross one, if I'm being honest. So well, we can try to build something here. We'll see if anything comes to fruition. I guess we can close those. We know Entropic are big favorites, and we know the second game is pretty much a toss-up. So Alian, easily like the top dog here. We could start off with just chucking him up there. Again, Forrester number 2 seems a little pricey there. Nickelback and Lackey seem to be like a decent third and fourth option, and they're pretty low priced. I don't mind going there. We might have to just go with like a little bit of a guesswork here for this stuff. We know Sterling is good. We know Fico is good. Furlan seems a little underpriced. We can try to see if there's like any information on these players. So yeah, they're yet to play maps together. So we'll have to just kind of search their stuff up individually. I should have set the filter beforehand. So last month. So it looks like Furlan has played 2 maps and he went +8, -8. Liman's had some bad maps. He's looking pretty bad. Grashnog has had some abysmal performances. Holy. So we can cross him off right there. Fiku had a bad series versus Wisla. Had a decent one there against Fnatic Rising. Okay stats. Krasnal, same. He looked decent when they won or were playing close games there. So it seems like Krasnal's one who's not terrible. It's when they win, you know, he seems to be a part of it. When they lose, he's part of that as well. I mean, there's just not much to like here, really. And then on this side, we can do the same for these players. And then who else was their player? It was Spellan. We can pull it, see if he's been playing. You know, he hasn't even been playing. He hasn't played for 3 months. He played a little bit. It looks like he filled in for an EG tournament, and that's it. So he hasn't even been playing. So that's pretty gross. The last month, Sterling's at a 0.96, Licky 0.89, Azure 0.92, Savage 0.9. Man, these are disgusting. Man, there's just not much to like. I'm going to try to get like a refresher on these players. Furlan has a 1, Layman 9.3, Fiku 9.5. I don't know. Fiku and Sterling are like probably the best players, but they are pretty overpriced. It's just like, where do you even want to go in this one? Man, I don't know. Like maybe you try to go like super salary saver here. Let's see what like a Nickelback, Lackey, Lion gives you 83. You go Fiku, Sterling. And then you could go with like Krasnal there. Hope like AGO end up like getting there. Let's see who else is there. Licky, Furlan. I mean, Furlan's probably not a bad option if you're leaning that side. Krasnal as well. I don't know. I think overall this is a pretty close series, but if I had to give like a lean, I'm probably just gonna lean AGO. Maybe this is like a little bit too much of a like region bias, but I just feel like the AGO players are probably just a little bit better. I feel like Furlan, Fiku have performed more overall. It seems like they have a little bit higher of a pedigree. I mean, but again, it feels like you're kind of splitting hairs with this series. Like, if you wanted to go with the looking for org side, I mean, I don't even think I'd blame you. Pretty much everyone but Spellland seems to be fine. Then on AGO, anyone but Grashog, so anyone but the Bulgarians in this game. It's pretty gross. If I'm building like a AGO team, Le Mans seems overpriced. Krasnal, Furlan. Maybe can we get an Elian Lackey? Yeah. I mean, this is probably about what I'm going. Again, I don't want to build lineups for you guys, but I think something like that is where I'll be headed, and I'll just hope that maybe AGO just kind of separate themselves maybe and get the 2-0, but playing people from both sides, I think highlights. I think Sterling and Fiku are probably the best individual players in this one. Probably Furlan right, but like not far behind him. And then it seemed like Krasnal had some decent games when they won. So yeah, not a lot to like there. I frankly don't know if I'm going to be playing this slate, but if I did, it'd most likely be going with those same players. I think everybody on Entropic is fine, except for Crad. Crad seems pretty overpriced. And then pretty much everyone in this AGO LFO series is fine, except for I think the Bulgarian players. I think their stats were just a little too bad for my blood. But best luck to you guys. If you wanted to play ownerships and stuff, which I think is the optimal way to play, I don't know if I will. I think people will probably gravitate more towards the AGO side because those are recognizable names. People probably remember Fiku and Furlan when AGO were a top-ish team. They were like a top 20, 25 team in the world at one point. And I think people aren't going to love what they see from the looking for org side. So maybe that's a way you guys could get different. I don't know. It's just tough. There's just not much to like there. Maybe if you guys want to go with the looking for org 3-0 or try to get like a 3-man stack of them, I don't even think that would be crazy. You'd probably get a good ownership discount. I might talk myself into that. I might play AGO. I can't make a call right now, but I'll go Entropic 2-0. I'll go over 2.5 AGO looking for org. I don't want to give out a pick on this one. Maybe if I had to, I'll go looking for org 2-1. I'll ride the unknown. I'll call the slight underdog. I believe they were the like -110. They were the slightest of underdogs. So, I mean, I think they've at least been playing like a good amount, and they're only swapping one player. AGO, I'm not liking that, like what they've been doing. Yeah, they have they're just swapping players like all over the place, which is weird. I don't know. I mean, they're just getting a fill in here. If anything, the looking for org side might be a little bit better, like because of how bad Spellin has been, and he hasn't played in a while. It's probably pretty bad for Spellin. So you have to imagine if looking for org do end up winning, it'll be pretty heavily, concentrated kills on their good players. So, that's where we're going. I'm probably leaning the looking for org side. Hopefully that's the lower end side. We'll see. But not a lot to like here. So hopefully we can get something a little bit better tomorrow. I'm not sure what CSGO games are coming up, but I mean, there's got to be something that they can give us. And best of luck to you guys. And I do want to announce I will probably be doing the Call of Duty slate starting on the 4th. I believe Call of Duty only plays Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. But I will make a video on that. I'll try to break down the league and scoring and all that stuff as well. So hopefully we can get some more Call of Duty DFS stuff. It actually is a pretty interesting DFS game. So hopefully we can talk about that stuff as well when that rolls around later in the week. So best of luck to you guys. I'll probably see you guys, I don't know, probably tomorrow, depending on what game is, what slate there is. So I'll see you when I see you.